The shuttle spun through the atmosphere like a broken toy. Warning lights flashed red across every panel. Kim Hyun-woo gripped his seat restraints as the vehicle screamed toward the forest below. He had maybe 30 seconds before impact. The crash came hard. Metal shrieked. Trees snapped. Then everything went still. Hyun-woo opened his eyes. His head throbbed and his shoulder ached, but he was alive. Smoke filled the cockpit. He unbuckled quickly and kicked open the emergency hatch. Fresh air hit his face as he stumbled into the forest. Around him stood massive trees with purple bark and silver leaves. This was Varak 4, a newly discovered planet that orbited a distant star. The research station had sent him down here to study the local wildlife, specifically the apex predators called Vexir, giant cat-like creatures that could paralyze prey with their neural abilities. Nothing on this planet was more dangerous. Hyun-woo checked his equipment. His communicator was broken. The emergency beacon blinked weakly, but its range was limited. The station would send rescue eventually, but that could take hours. Maybe longer. He needed shelter. The sun was setting fast. Purple light filtered through the canopy, creating long shadows. Hyun-woo knew better than to stay near the crashed shuttle. The smoke would attract predators. He grabbed his survival pack and started walking. The forest was eerily quiet. No bird calls. No insect sounds. Just wind rustling through alien leaves. Hyun-woo's training kicked in. Stay calm, find shelter. Wait for rescue. Simple rules that kept people alive. After an hour of walking, he found a rocky outcrop with a cave entrance. Perfect. He approached carefully, checking for signs of animals. The ground near the entrance showed scratch marks. Large ones. His heart rate picked up. Something lived here. He should have kept walking. Should have found somewhere else. But darkness was falling fast and the temperature was dropping. Hyun-woo pulled out his flashlight and entered the cave. The beam of light swept across stone walls. The cave was shallow, maybe 10 meters deep, and there in the back corner he saw them, 3 small shapes huddled together. Cubs. Vexir cubs. Hyun-woo froze. His mind raced through every protocol. Vexir were killers. Even the babies were dangerous. Their mother was probably nearby hunting. If she came back and found a human near her cubs, she would tear him apart. But something was wrong. The cubs were making weak sounds, mewling. They shivered in the cold. When his light hit them, they didn't hiss or attack. They just looked at him with huge, frightened eyes. They were abandoned, or orphaned. Hyun-woo's scientific training warred with his common sense. Common sense said run. Run far and fast. But the scientist in him was curious. These cubs were dying. They were maybe 3 weeks old, barely able to walk. Without their mother, they would be dead by morning. He made a decision that would change everything. Hyun-woo set down his pack and pulled out his emergency thermal blankets. The cubs watched him but didn't move. Too weak, too cold. He approached slowly, talking in a soft voice. His hands shook. One bite from those tiny jaws could sever a finger. The first cub let him wrap the blanket around it. The second one actually crawled closer, seeking warmth. The third was the smallest, barely breathing. Hyun-woo scooped it up and held it against his chest. His body heat might be the only thing keeping it alive. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The cubs slowly warmed up. They started moving more, making stronger sounds. The smallest one nuzzled against Hyun-woo's jacket. He felt it purring. Actually purring. His rational mind screamed warnings. These were predators. Apex predators. Their species had killed dozens of researchers on other worlds. But holding this tiny creature, feeling it trust him completely, Hyun-woo felt something unexpected. Protectiveness. He opened a protein ration bar and broke it into small pieces. The cubs sniffed cautiously, then ate hungrily. They weren't picky. They were starving. Hyun-woo fed them slowly, making sure they didn't choke. By the time full darkness fell, all 3 cubs were pressed against him. They had crawled onto his lap, curled around his arms, draped across his legs. Their body heat mixed with his. The cave felt almost warm. Hyun-woo leaned back against the stone wall. This was insane. Completely insane. But he was too tired to move. His eyes grew heavy. The cub's purring created a strange rhythmic sound, almost like a lullaby. He fell asleep with 3 predator cubs using him as a bed. Back at Research Station Epsilon 7, the rescue team prepared for launch. Park Ji-hai, head of security, reviewed the scanner data. She was a former military officer with sharp instincts and zero patience for stupidity. Right now, the scanners were showing something stupid. "Run it again," she told the technician. The young man, a nervous prey species called Thalon, tapped his console. "Same reading, ma'am. We have Hyunwoo's life signature, but there are 3 other signatures overlapping it. Juvenile Vexir, in resting state, not hunting mode." Ji-Hai stared at the screen. The colors showed a cluster of life forms so close together they almost looked like one entity. A human and 3 predators resting, not fighting, not fleeing, just resting. "That's impossible," she said. "The AI flagged it as a sensor malfunction," the technician added. "Nothing can rest that close to a Vexer and survive." Ji-Hee didn't believe in sensor malfunctions. In her experience, sensors showed the truth. People just didn't like what they saw. She pulled up Hyunwoo's file. Young, brilliant, specialized in xenobiology, known for taking risks, but not suicidal. "Alert the medical team," she ordered. "We launch at first light. Expect casualties." The technician's ears flattened in fear. "You think he's being consumed?" "I think the scanners are showing us something that shouldn't be possible. Which means either our equipment is broken or everything we know about Vexer is wrong." She pulled up the live feed again. Hyunwoo's vital signs were stable. Heart rate normal. No stress hormones. No signs of injury. He was sleeping peacefully while 3 apex predators lay on top of him. Every protocol, every safety measure, every piece of training said this couldn't happen. Prey didn't sleep with predators. That's not how nature worked. That's not how anything worked. But the scanners didn't lie. Ji-Hai grabbed her rifle and started checking ammunition. Whatever they found in that cave tomorrow, she needed to be ready. Because if Hyunwoo had somehow survived the night with those cubs, it meant the galaxy's understanding of predators and prey was about to get very complicated. The station's AI logged another alert in its system. Predator resting with prey. Protocol violation, immediate response required. But in the cave below, Hyunwoo slept on, unaware of the chaos his kindness had created. The smallest cub, nestled under his chin, purred softly in its dreams. Dawn light filtered into the cave in shades of purple and gold. Hyunwoo woke slowly, feeling warmth all around him. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he felt something heavy on his chest and remembered everything. 3 Vexer cubs sprawled across him like oversized house cats. The smallest one had its head tucked under his chin. The other 2 were draped across his legs and chest. All 3 were purring. The sound rumbled through his entire body. Hyunwoo hardly dared to breathe. In the daylight, he could see the cubs properly. They were beautiful and terrifying. Silver-gray fur-covered powerful muscles, 6 legs each, all ending in retractable claws. Crystalline fangs poked from their mouths. These weren't helpless babies. They were predators in training, and they trusted him completely. The smallest cub opened its eyes and looked at him. For a second, Hyunwoo's heart stopped. Those eyes were intelligent, calculating. Then the cub yawned, showing all its teeth, and licked his face with a rough tongue. Hyunwoo laughed despite himself. The cub's breath smelled terrible, but the gesture was pure affection. The other 2 cubs woke and immediately started climbing on him, wanting attention. Their claws pricked through his jacket but didn't pierce skin. They were being gentle, playing. The sound of engines interrupted the moment. The rescue shuttle. Hyunwoo carefully stood up, cubs tumbling off him. They made confused sounds and tried to climb back on. He grabbed his pack and moved to the cave entrance. The shuttle landed in a clearing 50 meters away. The cargo door opened and Park Ji-Hai emerged, rifle ready. "Hyunwoo," she called. "Are you injured?" "I'm fine," he shouted back. "But there's something you need to see." He stepped out of the cave. The cubs followed him. All 3 of them. They stayed close to his legs, occasionally rubbing against him. Their purring hadn't stopped. Ji-Hai's rifle came up immediately. Behind her, 4 other security personnel aimed weapons at the cubs. Everyone froze. "Don't shoot," Hyunwoo said calmly. "They're not attacking. They think I'm their parent. Step away from them," Ji-Hai ordered. "Slowly. If I do that, they'll panic. They're cubs. Orphaned cubs. They bonded with me overnight." Ji-Hai stared at him like he'd grown a second head. "That's impossible. Vexer don't bond with prey species. They eat them." As if to prove Hyunwoo's point, the smallest cub sat down beside him and leaned against his leg. It looked at the armed soldiers and hissed defensively. Protecting him. One of the security team, a bird-like species called Chirruk, made a clicking sound of disbelief. The predator cub is defending the human. I'm seeing it and I don't believe it. Believe it, Hyunwoo said. Now please lower your weapons. You're scaring them. The standoff lasted several long seconds. Finally, Ji-hai made a decision. Everyone lower weapons. But stay alert. Hyunwoo, we're taking you and those cubs back to the station. Quarantine protocol. The trip back was tense. The cubs refused to be separated from Hyunwoo. They rode in the shuttle cargo bay with him, curled up against his sides. Every time someone approached, they hissed warnings. The security team kept their distance. Ji-hai sat across from Hyunwoo, studying the scene with sharp eyes. You know this breaks every safety protocol we have. I know. The council will want those cubs destroyed. Over my dead body. She raised an eyebrow. They're predators. They'll grow. Eventually they'll see you as food. Hyunwoo looked down at the 3 cubs sleeping peacefully against him. I don't think they will. Something happened in that cave. They imprinted on me. Like baby birds imprint on the first thing they see. I'm their family now. You're not their species. Tell them that. The shuttle docked at Research Station Epsilon 7. The entire science team was waiting. News of the impossible situation had spread fast. Aliens of every species pressed against the observation windows, trying to see the human who slept with predators and lived. Hyunwoo and the cubs were immediately escorted to a quarantine cell. It was a large room with reinforced walls designed to hold dangerous specimens. The cubs explored it cautiously, sniffing everything. Then they returned to Hyunwoo and wouldn't leave his side. Dr. Lee Dae-hyun arrived within the hour. He was Hyunwoo's closest colleague, a tall man with kind eyes and endless curiosity. He stood outside the quarantine glass, tablet in hand, looking stunned. This shouldn't be possible, he said through the intercom. That's what everyone keeps saying, Hyunwoo replied. He sat on the floor with cubs climbing all over him. But here we are. The council meets in 2 hours. They're going to order the cubs terminated. Too dangerous. Then I need you to convince them otherwise. We have a chance to study something incredible here. An unprecedented interspecies bond. This could change everything we know about predator behavior. Dae-hyun nodded slowly. I'll try. But the prey species are terrified. Half the station wants you separated from those cubs immediately. Over the next 3 days, Hyunwoo lived in quarantine with his new family. He named the cubs because they needed names. The largest and most confident one became Baram, which meant wind. The middle one, curious and playful, became Hanul for sky. The smallest, who never left his side, became Dari for moon. They played constantly, wrestling with each other, pouncing on Hyunwoo's hands, chasing rolling balls. They grew stronger each day, their movements more coordinated. But they never hurt him. Their claws stayed sheathed when they touched him. Their bites were gentle, just play. The station sensors never stopped alerting. Predator in proximity to prey. The warnings flashed constantly. The AI couldn't understand what it was seeing. Every algorithm said Hyunwoo should be dead. Yet his vital signs remained perfect. More scientists arrived to observe. Dr. Choi Sun-hee, the station's leading behavioral ecologist, spent hours watching through the glass. She was an older woman with silver hair and a reputation for solving impossible puzzles. On the 3rd day, she entered the quarantine observation room where Dae-hyun and Ji-hai were monitoring. She looked excited. I figured it out, she announced. Figured what out? Ji-hai asked. Why the cubs don't attack Hyunwoo. Why they bonded with him. It's pheromones. Sun-hee pulled up a holographic display showing chemical compounds. I analyzed air samples from the quarantine cell. Human pheromones contain specific markers, compounds we've never paid attention to because they seemed irrelevant. But look at this. She displayed a vector scent marker beside a human pheromone profile. See these 3 compounds? They're nearly identical. Human sweat produces chemicals that mimic vector maternal scent markers. Not perfectly, but close enough. Dae-hyun leaned forward. So to the cubs, Hyunwoo smells like their mother? Not exactly, but he smells like family. Like pack. The cubs are reading him as a vexir, not as prey. Their instincts tell them he's safe. He's kin. Ji-hai crossed her arms. That's impossible. Humans are prey species. We don't produce predator pheromones. Sun-hee smiled. Don't we? I pulled up Earth's biological database. Do you know what humans evolved from? Primates, Dae-hyun said. Omnivorous primates who hunted. And do you know what modern humans are? Apex predators. They hunted every megafauna species on their planet. They domesticated wolves. They conquered every ecosystem. Humans aren't prey. They never were. The room went silent. Through the glass, they could see Hyunwoo lying on the floor while 3 Vexir cubs used him as a climbing structure. Dari was asleep on his chest. Baram and Hanel were wrestling beside him. It looked natural. It looked right. The galaxy classified humans wrong, Sun He continued. We saw a species without claws or fangs and assumed prey. But we missed the most important sign. Predators recognize other predators. Those cubs know exactly what Hyunwoo is, and they accept him. Ji-hai stared at the scene. If this gets out, there's going to be panic. Half the species in the Federation are prey animals. They're going to be terrified of humans. Then we need to control the narrative, Dae-hyun said. Show them what we're seeing. Not a human threatening predators, but a human bonding with them. This isn't about danger. It's about connection. But even as they talked, news was spreading. The impossible bond between a human and Vexir cubs was becoming the most talked about event in the galaxy. And everyone wanted answers that nobody could provide. The Galactic Federation Emergency Council convened exactly 5 days after Hyunwoo's rescue. Representatives from 43 species filled the chamber, their holographic forms flickering in the station's main conference hall. The tension was thick enough to cut. Hyunwoo watched from quarantine through a video link. Baram lay across his lap, too big now to fit comfortably but refusing to move. Hanil and Dari wrestled in the corner, their play-fighting growing rougher each day. They were growing fast, too fast. The council's senior member, a Thelon named Velnash, opened the session. His voice trembled slightly. We are here to discuss the human situation, specifically the classification error that has put the entire Federation at risk. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Most of the representatives were prey species. They looked frightened. A reptilian delegate from the Sarkeen system spoke up. We demand immediate reclassification of humans as predators. They pose a threat to peaceful species. We pose no threat, Hyunwoo said calmly through the video feed. Baram lifted his head at the sound of raised voices, growling softly. I'm literally sitting here petting an apex predator like it's a pet. Does that look threatening to you? That's exactly the problem, Velnash squeaked. No prey species should be able to do what you're doing. It defies nature. It defies logic. Maybe your logic is wrong, a new voice said. Everyone turned as a human woman entered the chamber physically, not via hologram. She wore formal diplomatic robes and carried herself with quiet authority. Ambassador Kang Min-seo had arrived from Earth and she'd brought a team of scientists with her. Thank you for joining us, Ambassador, Velnash said nervously. We hope you can explain this situation. Min-seo took her position at the center of the chamber. I can, but you're not going to like it. The Federation has operated under a fundamental misunderstanding about my species for the past century. She activated a holographic display showing Earth. This is our home world. Beautiful, isn't it? Diverse ecosystems, rich biodiversity, and notice something interesting. No megafauna, no giant predators, nothing larger than a few hundred kilograms. So, a delegate asked, so where did they all go? Min-seo smiled grimly. Humans hunted them to extinction. Woolly mammoths, saber-toothed cats, giant sloths, all gone. Killed and eaten by primitive humans using nothing but stone tools and teamwork. The chamber erupted in shocked chatter. Min-seo continued, her voice cutting through the noise. Let me tell you about human evolution. We didn't develop claws because we made knives. We didn't develop fangs because we made spears. We didn't develop speed because we developed endurance. Humans can run prey animals to exhaustion over distances of 40 kilometers. We're persistence hunters. The prey collapses and we walk up and kill it while it's too tired to run. She pulled up images of ancient human hunts. We hunted in packs, communicated with complex language, made plans, set traps. We didn't just survive on Earth, we dominated it. Every ecosystem, every climate, every continent. Humans spread across an entire planet and made it ours. Dr. Choi Sun-hee's research appeared on the display. Your scientists discovered why the Vexir cubs bonded with Hyunwoo. Human pheromones mimic predator scent markers. But it's more than that. Let me show you something. A comparison chart appeared showing predator species traits. Forward-facing eyes for tracking. Prey, check. Pack hunting behavior, check. Tool use for killing, check. Endurance adaptations for pursuit, check. High protein diet requiring meat consumption, check. Humans, Match every single biological marker for apex predators. The chamber fell silent. Several prey species representatives looked visibly ill. But humans are peaceful, someone protested weakly. They don't attack other species. Because we chose not to, Mincio said firmly. That's what makes us different. Yes, we're predators. But we're intelligent predators. We learned that cooperation benefits us more than domination. We domesticated other predators, made wolves into dogs, made cats into companions. We learned to farm instead of hunt. We chose civilization over savagery. She gestured to the screen showing Hyunwoo with the cubs. This is what humans do. We befriend predators. We make family out of the dangerous. Those cubs trust Hyunwoo because they recognize him as one of them, a predator who protects instead of kills. Velnash's ears flattened against his head. If humans are predators, how can we trust them? How can prey species feel safe in the Federation? The same way you trust any intelligent species, Mincio replied. By judging us by our actions, not our biology. Humans have been part of the Federation for a century. How many attacks have we committed? How many prey species have we harmed? The silence was telling. In a century of cooperation, humans had maintained a perfect peaceful record. But fear didn't fade easily. A Chiric representative stood, her feathers ruffled in agitation. You're asking us to ignore millions of years of evolutionary instinct, to ignore the fact that predators eat prey. That's what predators do. Actually, Dr. Lee Dae-hyun spoke up from his observation post. That's not quite accurate. Predators hunt prey for food, but humans don't need to hunt anymore. We grow food. We synthesize protein. We haven't needed to kill for sustenance in thousands of years. We're predators who evolved past predation. What do you propose we call them then? Velnash asked. They clearly don't fit the prey classification, but calling them predators will cause panic. Mincio had prepared for this. I propose a new classification. Adaptive apex predator, a species that possesses all predatory traits but has evolved beyond pure instinct. Humans hunt when necessary, protect when possible, and befriend when given the chance. The debate raged for hours. Species argued from every angle. Fear competed with logic. Instinct battled against evidence. Through it all, the video feed from quarantine showed the same scene. A human sitting peacefully with 3 growing predator cubs. The cubs played. Hyunwoo smiled. It looked natural because it was natural. Finally, after 9 hours of debate, the vote came. By a narrow margin, humanity received a new classification. Adaptive apex predator. The first species in Federation history to receive such a designation. But the decision brought consequences. Within hours, protests erupted across multiple stations. Prey species demanded separation from humans. Some called for humanity's expulsion from the Federation. Others demanded that all humans be monitored and restricted. Back at Research Station Epsilon 7, the situation grew tense. Jihai increased security around the human quarters. Angry messages flooded the station's communication systems. Fear spread like wildfire. Hyunwoo watched it all from quarantine, feeling helpless. Derry sensed his distress and pressed close, purring loudly. Baram and Hanul abandoned their play to join the comfort pile. 3 massive predator cubs trying to soothe one stressed human. I made everything worse, Hyunwoo said quietly to Dae-hyun during a video call. No, his friend replied. You exposed a truth that needed exposing. The galaxy can't function on lies and misclassification. Yes, there's fear now, but fear can become understanding. Give it time. We might not have time, Hyunwoo said. Look at them. The cubs were nearly full size now. Magnificent, powerful, deadly. Their neural abilities were developing. Soon they'd be able to paralyze prey with a thought. And they followed Hyunwoo everywhere, obeying his commands, trusting him completely. The council is going to demand they be released or destroyed, Hyunwoo continued. And if they're released on Verak 4, they'll die. They're too domesticated now, too bonded to me. Then we need to prove that the bond isn't dangerous, Dae-hyun said. We need to show the galaxy that humans and predators can coexist without violence. Before Hyunwoo could respond, alarms blared through the station. Emergency alert. Red lights flashed. Jihai's voice came over the intercom, urgent and controlled. All personnel to battle stations. We have a priority distress signal from Mining Colony 7 on Verak 4. They're under attack by a Vexor pack. Dozens of colonists trapped. They need immediate assistance. Hyunwoo stood up, his mind racing. The cubs sensed his tension and gathered around him, alert and ready. An idea formed. It was crazy. potentially suicidal, but it might be the only way to prove what humans could do. He opened the intercom to the command center. Ji-hee, I'm volunteering for the rescue mission. Me and the Cubs, silence. Then Ji-hee's incredulous voice. You want to take 3 juvenile Vexer to stop an adult pack from attacking a colony? That's insane. That's human, Hyunwoo replied, stroking Barham's massive head. Give me a chance to show the galaxy what we really are. The council chamber erupted in chaos when Hyunwoo made his proposal. Through the video screen, he watched 43 species shouting at once. Ambassador Min Seo stood at the center, trying to restore order. Absolutely not, Velnash shrieked. Sending a human with 3 juveniles against an adult pack is suicide. We'll be responsible for his death. With respect, Hyunwoo said calmly. You'll be responsible for the deaths of 200 colonists if you don't try something. Military ships are 6 hours away. The colony has maybe 2 hours before the Vexer break through their defenses. Ji-hee stood beside him now, having entered the quarantine area with full protective gear. The Cubs had sniffed her curiously but allowed her presence. She spoke to the council with military precision. The colonists are prey species, Thelnchirik and Sarkeen. The Vexir are attracted by the vibrations from their mining equipment. Standard weapons won't stop a full pack without massive casualties. We need an alternative approach. And you think 3 Cubs can stop adult hunters? A Sarkeen delegate asked skeptically. No, Hyunwoo said. I think communication can. These Cubs are old enough to emit proper scent markers now. They can signal to the adults that they're alive, that they have a protector, that there's no threat. Adult Vexer are intelligent. They can be reasoned with if we speak their language. Dr. Choi Sun-hee's voice joined the discussion. He's right. My research shows Vexer have complex social structures. They'll recognize the Cubs as scent. The question is whether they'll accept the human presence. That's a very big question, Velnash muttered. Ambassador Min Seo raised her hand for silence. Members of the council, I invoke emergency diplomatic authority. The human government takes responsibility for this mission. If Hyunwoo fails, the consequences fall on us alone. She looked directly at the video screen at Hyunwoo, but I believe he'll succeed. Because this is what humans do. We bridge the gap between predator and prey. We find solutions that shouldn't exist. If you want proof that humans deserve our new classification, let us prove it. The vote was quick. 16 in favor, 15 against, 12 abstentions. It was enough. 30 minutes later, Hyunwoo stood in the shuttle bay with Baram, Hanul, and Dari. The Cubs were excited, sensing an adventure. They bounded around the cargo area, exploring with renewed energy. Lee Dae-hyun and Park Ji-hee would accompany him. Both looked nervous but determined. You know this might not work, Dae-hyun said as he checked their equipment. I know, Hyunwoo replied, but doing nothing definitely won't work. Ji-hee secured her rifle. I'm bringing weapons anyway. If those adults attack, I'm not dying quietly. The shuttle launched, dropping through the atmosphere toward Verak 4. Through the viewport, they could see the mining colony. It sat in a valley surrounded by forest. Smoke rose from damaged buildings. The Vexir pack circled the main compound, testing defenses. Hyunwoo counted at least 8 adults. Each one was massive, 3 times the size of his cubs. Their crystalline fangs gleamed in the purple sunlight. Even from the air, they looked terrifying. Colony Control, this is Rescue Shuttle, Ji-hee transmitted. We're approaching your location. Prepare for an unusual intervention. Any help is welcome, came the panicked reply. They've breached the outer fence. We've got maybe 20 minutes before they reach the main shelters. The shuttle landed 200 meters from the compound. Hyunwoo took a deep breath and opened the cargo door. The Cubs immediately jumped out, eager to explore this new place. They sniffed the air and their demeanor changed instantly. All 3 Cubs went rigid. Their ears flattened. Low growls rumbled from their chests. They smelled the adults. Their pack. Their family. Easy, Hyunwoo said softly. He placed a hand on Baram's head. I'm here. You're safe. Baram looked up at him and something passed between them. Trust. The big cub relaxed slightly and moved closer to Hyunwoo's side. Hanul and Dari followed. The adult Vexir had noticed them. The entire pack turned away from the colony, focusing on this new arrival. 8 pairs of glowing eyes locked onto the shuttle. Hyunwoo stepped forward. Baram, Hanul, and Dari walked beside him, forming a protective triangle around their human. Dae-hyun and Ji-hee followed at a distance, weapons ready but not aimed. Inside the colony bunkers, 200 colonists watched through cameras. They saw a human walking calmly toward a pack of apex predators with 3 juveniles at his sides. It looked like madness. Several colonists began praying to various gods. The pack moved forward to meet them. Their movements were fluid, coordinated. These were experienced hunters who had killed hundreds of prey animals. The lead female was massive, her fur scarred from countless fights. Her crystalline fangs were the size of Hyunwoo's forearm. 50 meters separated them. Then 40, 30. Baram stopped walking. He lifted his head and roared. It was a sound Hyunwoo had never heard from him before, deep, resonant, carrying across the valley. It was a call, a greeting, a declaration. The adults froze. Their ears swiveled forward. The lead female tilted her head, confused. Hanul and Dari added their voices. 3 juveniles calling to their pack, saying they were alive, saying they were home. The lead female took a step forward, then another. She was cautious now, not hunting. Her neural field extended, scanning the cubs, reading their scent markers, recognizing them. These were her cubs, the ones she'd lost weeks ago, the ones she thought dead. But there was something wrong, something impossible. A human stood between her and her cubs, and her cubs protected the human instead of fleeing from him. 20 meters now. Hyunwoo could feel the adult's neural field brushing against his mind. It was trying to paralyze him, but his cubs were interfering, blocking it with their own developing abilities. They were protecting him from their own mother. Easy, Hyunwoo said aloud. His voice was steady despite his racing heart. I'm not a threat. I found them dying. I kept them alive. I'm family. The alpha female couldn't understand his words, but she could read intent. Predators communicated as much through body language and pheromones as through sound. She moved closer, her massive head lowering to sniff Baram. Baram pressed against her, purring. Then he turned and pressed against Hyunwoo. Back and forth, showing that both were important. Both were pack. Hanul and Dari did the same, creating a bridge between their human and their biological mother. The alpha sniffed Hyunwoo directly. Her nose was centimeters from his face. One bite would kill him instantly. Her breath was hot and smelled of blood. Hyunwoo forced himself to stay still. She smelled his pheromones, read his scent markers, sensed his predator nature. He wasn't prey. He was something else, something that defied her understanding but didn't trigger her hunting instincts. Her cubs trusted him completely. That was clear. They had bonded with him in ways she'd never seen before. But the bond was real. It was strong. It was family. The alpha made a decision. She stepped back and made a low rumbling sound. The rest of the pack relaxed, sitting on their haunches. The hunt was over. Hyunwoo released a breath he didn't know he was holding. Thank you, he whispered. The alpha female regarded him for a long moment. Then she did something that made every watching scientist gasp. She lowered her head and butted it gently against Hyunwoo's chest. It was a gesture of acceptance, of recognition. You are pack. The cubs immediately began playing, wrestling with each other and the adults. Dari introduced Hyunwoo to each pack member by leading him close and purring. The adults sniffed him cautiously but didn't attack. Their alpha had accepted him. That was enough. In the colony bunker, 200 prey species watched in stunned silence as a human stood surrounded by 9 Vexir. The predators lounged around him like giant cats. The cubs climbed on him. The alpha rested nearby, watchful but calm. Impossible, someone whispered. But it wasn't impossible. It was simply unprecedented. Jihai contacted the shuttle. We need to document this. Every second. The galaxy needs to see what just happened. Daehyun was already recording. A human just made peace with an apex predator pack using nothing but compassion and 3 orphaned cubs. If this doesn't change how the Federation sees humans, nothing will. Hyunwoo sat on the ground. Dari curled in his lap despite being far too large. The other cubs sprawled nearby. The alpha female watched him with intelligent eyes. She didn't fully understand what he was, but she understood what he'd done. He'd saved her cubs, raised them when they should have died. That made him pack. That made him family. The mining colony was safe. The pack had no reason to attack now. They'd found what they were looking for. Their cubs were alive and healthy. As the sun set over Varrock 4, casting purple and gold light across the valley, Hyunwoo realized something profound. The galaxy had spent millennia defining species by what they hunted or what hunted them. But humanity proved there was another way. A way based on understanding, not fear. On connection, not conflict. The cubs had taught him that. Or maybe he'd taught them. It didn't matter. What mattered was that impossible things became possible when someone was brave enough to try. Ambassador Minseo's voice came through his communicator. Hyunwoo, the entire Galactic Federation just watched what you did. Every species. Every station. You've just changed everything. Hyunwoo smiled and stroked Dari's massive head. Good, it was about time. The footage went viral across every system in the Galactic Federation. Within hours, billions of beings had watched the moment when a human made peace with apex predators. News networks played it repeatedly. Scientists analyzed every second. Philosophers debated its meaning. A human surrounded by Vexir sitting peacefully as cubs played around him. The image challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about predators and prey. The Federation Council reconvened 3 days after the mining colony rescue. This time the chamber was packed. Every species sent representatives. Every station tuned in. This was history happening in real time. Ambassador Kang Minseo stood at the center again, but this time she wasn't alone. Holographic projections showed Hyunwoo on Varak 4, sitting outside his temporary habitat. Baram, Hanul, and Dari lounged around him. The alpha female rested nearby, having chosen to stay close to her cubs and their unusual guardian. Members of the Federation, Minseo began. 3 weeks ago, we debated whether humans should be reclassified. Today, I'm asking you to do more than reclassify one species. I'm asking you to reconsider how we classify all species. She activated displays showing hundreds of species data. Our current system divides the galaxy into predators, prey, and neutral species. It's simple, easy to understand, and completely wrong. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Velnash shifted uncomfortably. Our classification system has served us for thousands of years. It's served to keep you afraid, Minseo countered. Look at the data. Prey species avoid predator species. Trade suffers. Cooperation is limited. Scientific advancement slows because prey species researchers won't work with predator species on certain projects, all because of arbitrary biological classifications. Dr. Choi Sun-hee took over the presentation. My research over the past weeks has revealed something fascinating. Human pheromones aren't unique. 27 other species classified as prey or neutral actually emit similar chemical markers. They have predatory traits hidden in their biology, but we never noticed because we weren't looking. She displayed genetic comparisons. Intelligence changes everything. A species might evolve as predators but develop agriculture and abandon hunting, or evolve as prey but develop weapons and become apex species on their worlds. Biology doesn't determine behavior. Choice does. On Varak 4, Hyunwoo spoke through the video link. I didn't stop the Vexir pack through violence. I didn't use weapons or force. I used communication and compassion. These cubs taught me something important. They're predators, yes, but they're also intelligent, social, and capable of forming bonds across species lines. That's not dangerous. That's beautiful. Dari lifted his massive head and purred loudly as if agreeing. Several council members actually smiled. A Chiric delegate raised a wing. But you're still asking prey species to trust predators, to ignore millions of years of evolutionary instinct telling us to run? No, Hyunwoo replied. I'm asking you to recognize that intelligence overrides instinct. Every species in this federation achieved space travel. You're all intelligent enough to make choices beyond your base programming. Prey species built weapons and defenses. Predator species developed agriculture and synthetic food. Everyone evolved past their biological origins. Lee Dae-hyun joined the discussion from his research lab. We've been studying the Vexir pack for 3 weeks now. They haven't attacked a single colonist since Hyunwoo made contact. Not because they're scared. Not because they're contained. But because they don't need to. The colony provides them with synthesized food in exchange for allowing research. It's cooperation, trade, the beginning of civilization, Park Ji-hai added her perspective. From a security standpoint, the situation on Varak 4 is the safest it's been since the colony was established. Attacks from native predators have dropped to 0. Why? Because the Vexir pack protects the territory now. They see the colony as part of their range. They've become guardians instead of threats. The evidence was overwhelming. The footage spoke for itself. A human sitting with predators, completely safe. Cubs playing with their human guardian. An alpha female accepting interspecies family bonds. But fear didn't disappear easily. A Theln delegate stood, his voice shaking. Even if we accept this, even if we believe humans mean no harm, what happens when other species try to replicate this? What if someone gets killed attempting what Hyunwoo did? Then we educate them, Minseo said. We establish protocols. We train specialists. Hyunwoo didn't succeed through luck. He succeeded through knowledge, patience, and respect. Those are skills that can be taught. The debate continued for hours. Arguments flew back and forth. Some species demanded stricter classifications. Others pushed for abandoning classifications entirely. The chamber became a battleground of ideologies. Finally, an elder delegate from a neutral species requested the floor. She was ancient, a crystalline being whose species had mediated conflicts for millennia. Her voice resonated with authority. I have watched this debate with great interest, and I believe we are asking the wrong questions. The question is not whether humans are predators or prey. The question is what we choose to do with our nature. She gestured to the display showing Hyunwoo and the Vexir. That human is a predator who chooses compassion. Those Vexir are predators who choose cooperation. Both are acting against their base instincts for a greater purpose. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is evolution beyond biology. Silence fell across the chamber. The elder continued, I propose we create a new classification tier. Not predator, not prey, but sapient. Species that have evolved beyond instinct to make conscious choices about their behavior. Any species that achieves space travel and joins the Federation automatically qualifies. The proposal sparked immediate discussion. It was radical. It challenged 10,000 years of tradition. But it made sense. Velnash, who had opposed humans from the beginning, spoke quietly. If we do this, we're saying that biology doesn't matter. That a Vexir and a Theln can be equals despite one being built to hunt the other. Yes, the elder replied. That's exactly what we're saying. Because it's true. Intelligence is the great equalizer. It's why we have this federation at all. The vote took place the next day. It was close. Many prey species remained fearful. Many predator species worried about losing their status. But the evidence was undeniable. The footage of Hyunwoo and the Vexir had changed hearts and minds. The measure passed. The Galactic Federation officially recognized a new primary classification, sapient species. All member species were automatically reclassified. Predator and prey became secondary biological notes, no more important than whether a species breathed oxygen or methane. It was the biggest change in Federation policy in recorded history. The aftermath brought unexpected benefits. Trade between former predator and prey species increased by 40% within a month. Scientific collaborations formed that would have been impossible before. Fear gave way to curiosity. And humans became something unique in the galaxy. Bridge species. Mediators between biological extremes. Their ability to bond with predators while understanding prey species made them invaluable to Federation diplomacy. 6 months after the mining colony incident, Hyunwoo stood outside his permanent habitat on Verac 4. He had chosen to stay, to continue his research, to be with his family. Baram, Hanul, and Dari were fully grown now. Magnificent apex predators in their prime. They could have rejoined the wild pack completely. The Alpha had offered, but they chose to stay with Hyunwoo, to remain in their interspecies family. Lee Dae-hyun and Park Ji-hai had joined him permanently. Together they ran the Verac 4 Interspecies Research Station, the first facility dedicated to studying predator cognition and behavior. Scientists from across the galaxy applied to work there. The waiting list was years long. Today a new group of researchers arrived. Young students from a dozen species, all eager to learn. They stepped off the shuttle nervously, seeing the Vexir lounging in the compound. Hyunwoo greeted them with a smile. Dari walked beside him, the cub he'd first saved, now a powerful adult who still followed him everywhere. Welcome to Verac 4. First rule, respect the Vexir. They're not pets. They're colleagues. A young Theln student trembled. Are they safe? Safe as any person, Hyunwoo replied. Safer than most. They've never hurt anyone here, but you need to learn their language. Understand their signals. Respect their space. Baram approached, curious about the newcomers. The students backed away instinctively. But Hyunwoo placed a hand on Baram's massive head, and the Vexir sat calmly. Fear is natural, Hyunwoo said. Evolution gave you that fear for good reasons, but intelligence gives you the ability to overcome it. Watch. He sat down on the ground. Bahram immediately lay beside him. Hanul and Dari joined them, creating a pile of predator and human. It looked peaceful. It looked like family. The students watched in amazement. Over the next months, they would learn to overcome their fears. They would study predator behavior up close. They would publish papers that revolutionized xenobiology, and some of them would form their own bonds with the Vexer, proving that what Hyunwoo did wasn't unique to humans. It was possible for any species willing to try. One evening, as the purple sun set over Verak 4, Hyunwoo sat on his favorite hill overlooking the research station. The three Vexers sprawled around him as they always did. The alpha female rested nearby with several of her pack. His communicator chimed. Ambassador Min Seo's face appeared. Just wanted to check in. How's life on the frontier? Perfect, Hyunwoo replied honestly. We had 3 more species bonding successes this week. A Chirik researcher befriended a juvenile Vexer. They're inseparable now. The Federation is calling you the father of interspecies relations, Min Seo said with a smile. Universities are teaching courses about your work. You're famous. I'm a guy who adopted 3 orphans, Hyunwoo laughed. They did all the hard work. Dari, hearing his voice, lifted his massive head and purred. The sound rumbled across the hillside. Hyunwoo scratched behind the Vexer's ears, hitting the spot that always made Dari's back leg kick. You changed the galaxy, Min Seo said softly. You proved that family isn't about biology. It's about choice. After the call ended, Hyunwoo lay back against Bahram's side. The station's sensors, which had once screamed constant warnings, now displayed a simple message. Family group detected. Someone had finally updated the classification. It had taken 6 months, but the AI now recognized what it was seeing. Not predator with prey, not hunter with hunted, just family. The stars came out above Verak 4, countless points of light representing countless species, all of them learning to see past biology, all of them choosing cooperation over conflict. All of them because one human decided that orphaned cubs deserved a chance. Hyunwoo closed his eyes, surrounded by purring predators, and smiled. This was home. This was family. And sometimes the most dangerous predator in the galaxy was the one who refused to hunt at all.